Global warming, which started centuries sooner than previously thought, is having costly and alarming effects on our world today. I'm here today to inform you about the history of global warming. I may not be an environmental scientist myself, but I have read the findings and data provided by credible environmental scientists, and the vast majority have all come to the same conclusion. I will start by explaining exactly what global warming is, and then go on to describe how global warming began, and then tell you about how global warming affects us today. Global warming is the gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases act like a blanket absorbing infrared and radiation and preventing it from escaping into outer space. The net effect is the gradual heating of the Earth's atmosphere and surface, which is a process known as global warming. Now you may be wondering, when did global warming begin? A global team of researchers led by Australian National University Associate Professor Dr. Abram have pinpointed the moment when global warming began to rise. As you can see in this graph, on the left-hand side, it shows the million metric tons of carbon dioxide which are being emitted into the Earth's atmosphere, starting from 0 all the way up to 9,000 million metric tons. It all begins around the year 1840 and then steadily rises all the way up until 1945, which marks the American Industrial Revolution, and then skyrockets exponentially all the way up until 2010, where it is at 9,000 million metric tons. Due to human activities using burning coal to power the world's first trains and the furnaces in people's homes, the start of global warming can be traced back to between 1830 and 1850. They accomplished this knowledge using 2,000 years of paleoclimate data, which is the measuring of the Earth's historical temperature from natural sources such as the growth bands on corals and trees, ice cores, and the amount of pollen trapped in sediment layers. The increase in atmospheric carbon and the onset of warming at the end of the 1800s was considered small, around 15 parts per million. But even this small change raised the temperature by a few tenths of a degree. The increase since 1900 has been more than 100 parts per million. This is the first time that a study of this kind has incorporated not only land-based sources like tree rings, but it has measured marine temperatures as well. The scientists found that the land of the northern hemisphere and the seas of the tropics began warming at roughly the same speed around 1830. Now I'll talk about how global warming affects the Earth today, which can be seen by the rising sea levels, longer wildfire seasons, more destructive hurricanes, more frequent heat waves, health impacts, increase in extreme weather events, and the destruction of marine ecosystems. Firstly, the rising sea levels. Average global sea level has increased by 8 inches since 1880, but is rising much faster in the U.S. East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico. Global warming is now accelerating the rate of sea level rise, increasing flooding risks to low-lying communities and high-risk coastal properties. There are also longer wildfire seasons. Wildfires are increasing and wildfire seasons are getting longer in the western U.S. as temperatures rise. Higher spring and summer temperatures and earlier spring snowmelt result in forests that are hotter and drier for longer periods of time, which are priming conditions for wildfires to ignite in spring. There are also more destructive hurricanes. While hurricanes are a natural part of the climate system, Recent research indicates their destructive power or intensity has been growing since the 1970s, particularly in the North Atlantic region. There are also more frequent heat waves. Dangerously hot weather is already occurring more frequently than it did 60 years ago, and scientists expect heat waves to become more frequent and severe as global warming intensifies. This increase in heat waves creates serious health risks and can lead to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and aggressive existing medical conditions. This leads me to talk about the health impacts of global warming. Climate change has significant implications on our health. Rising temperatures will likely lead to increased air pollution, longer and more intense allergy season, the spread of insect-borne illnesses, more frequent and dangerous heat waves, and heavier rainstorms and flooding. All of these changes pose serious and costly risks to our public health. There is also increase in extreme weather events. Strong scientific evidence shows that global warming is increasing certain types of extreme weather events, including heat waves, coastal flooding, extreme precipitation events, and more severe droughts. Global warming also creates conditions that can lead to more powerful hurricanes. Lastly, the destruction of marine ecosystems. Higher concentrations of CO2 in the atmosphere due to our burning of fossil fuels is making oceans both warmer and more acidic. These two effects threaten the survival of marine life. Corals, shellfish, and phytoplankton, which are the base of the food chain, are especially at risk. To close this off, I hope I have fully explained the history of global warming and provide a better understanding of how it affects the world. In summary, I've now explained how global warming began and how global warming affects us today.